Water quality has faced scrutiny in southeast Iowa for being too dirty. In tonight's From the Ground Up, we found out what some southeast Iowa farmers are doing to keep the water clean thanks to the Iowa Nutrient Reduction Loss Strategy.
Started years ago with different cost share projects as far as to erosion control structures, large pond structures and watershed areas.
How does the water quality become bad? It has to do a lot with the soil, as it carries a lot of chemicals in it, such as nitrous oxide and phosphate. And when that soil gets into our water systems, it carries those chemicals with it. One of the goals of this project is to prevent soil from getting into the water in the first place. And thanks to cover crops, this is becoming possible.
Cover crops, getting them established early right behind the combine, they've really held the soil back from washing into the terraces, washing into the waterways, and they've really cleaned up the water that's actually going into the terraces. So that tile water is coming out a lot cleaner than it was before.
Tile water is also known as subsurface drainage, or water that is coming out of the soil. Tile water is the starting point for a watershed. A watershed takes water from the highest point of land and it eventually ends up in the biggest body of water possible. And what's the goal of a watershed?
We want to slow the water down, through structures, through filter strips, through cover crops. We want to slow the water down so it goes down into the ground instead of off the ground and into the stream.
In southeast Iowa, there are 3 watersheds: Buckeye, Copantine, and Cedar Creek. Buckeye and Copantine flow into Cedar Creek, which eventually flows into Des Moines River. However, the problem the program seems to be having is trying to define how much success the watersheds are having.
For us just to say, okay, here's our baseline, we've saved X amount of ton of soil and we've saved X amount of dollars and we've improved water quality, it's not going to happen. I mean, you've seen some of the big rain events we've had. We can make 5 years of progress and have 8 inches of rain and have some significant issues.
Even though it's hard to quantify the success of the Iowa Nutrient Reduction Loss Strategy program, it will not slow down.
We are pushing hard to implement this thing, and we understand that it's very important. Water quality is very important for 2 things. Number 1, for our viability and for the community's viability.
The program receives money from local farmers and local governments, as well as the state and federal government. Recently, the project received a new grant for $460,000 from the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship to continue their work.